So we're going to start by going to A3 and type in the headers. So that's total of bids and cash. Skip a cell. We're going to go down to A5 and we're going to type fair share. Skip a cell once more. Go down to item received. Go down to A7 and we're going to type item received. Okay, we're going to skip 3 cells after this, so 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go to A11 and we're going to type the following header: value of items received, item or items received. Skip a cell, so we go to A13 and type initial cash received. Skip once more, we're going to type remaining cash in A15. Skip a cell again and we're going to type share of remaining cash. Okay. Beneath that we're going to write an A19 final settlement. Okay, so these are the primary headers that we're going to use to guide our estate division. So if you notice that some of these lines, these sentences or phrases, they overlap the cells, so we need to make sure that the cells line up correctly. So to get this to work, you could do it one of two ways. You could put the mouse over the margin between A and B and just simply drag until it lines up, or you could just put the mouse over the margin just as before, and now we double click and the margin automatically adjusts its width to the length of the long. The next thing we will do is set up the table for the sealed bits. Okay, so I will do this at some spot over here. I will use G and K to get started. I will start by putting these two cells together. So I'll highlight these two cells by clicking and dragging over and merging them so they become one cell. The merge tool is up on the toolbar. So I click that and now these two cells are one. So I will click into this new merge space and I will type sealed bids. Okay. Then I'm gonna go to the next row. Alright, so the next row, and I'll go over to this column I. So starting with I3. Alright, so go 2 rows down and I'll type in the names as follows. So this is my sample data. This is the problem we had in our class to work on. So it's Alan, Betty, and Carl, and we're going to type in cash. The items in the estate was a house, boat, and a car. Okay, the values of the items are: house is 115,000. Alan bet 115,000. Betty was 120,000, and Carl was 117,000. Okay, Alan bid 6,000 on the boat. Betty was 7,000, and Carl was 6,000. And for the car, 13,000 was Alan's bid, 11,000 was Betty's bid, and 12,000 was Carl's bid. There was no cash in the estate, so I'll put a 0 in there. Okay, so just to make this a little bit more appealing, I am going to highlight it and put a box around this data. So I'm going to click in I2 and drag and stop at L6. Okay, once this selection has been made, I'm going to go back to the toolbar and I'm going to choose the borders option. Click on the borders option and I'm going to choose outer borders. So outer borders, and now we have this nicely bordered. Alright, so there's like a rectangle around it so it stands out. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use some of the information in this bid table to populate some information over in my spreadsheet. So I want in B1, I want in this spot, I want the name of the heir that's in this location to show up here, and it's really simple to do. Just click on the cell, click on the formula bar, and hit the equal sign. So it's going to be equal to this cell. Alright, this location, whatever is stored in this location is going to appear in this box. And when I hit enter, we see the word Alan shows up over there, and that's fine. So we'll do the same things for C and D. So C is going to be equal to this cell, and D is going to be equal to that cell. Okay, so we have Alan, Betty, and Carl, and we have the table of sealed bids. Okay, so I'm going to make a small cosmetic change. I want to make sure all of these headers are bold and all of these labels are bold and centered. So I will click on to change these into bold. I will make sure I click on the column header, which is A. Alright, I don't want to click on a cell. I want to click on the header and choose bold. So everything in this column is going to be bold. If you notice, it's starting to overlap again. So I use the same trick as before. I just double click. And this is done. I'm happy with it. Now I'll click on row 1. And I want everything in row 1 to be bold. And I want it to be centered. So I'll use the horizontal alignment tool and choose center. Okay, so this is exactly as I need it. I'll do the same for this cell. Make sure this is bold and these are bold. Okay, so to me it's a little bit easier to read. It's just a cosmetic step, so that's fine. Now these values are currency, so I will show you a little bit later on how to change everything to currency, but for now we leave it like this. This is excellent. So if you need to pause the video at this point and make sure everything is ready, do so. Okay, so moving on, we next are going to compute the total of bids and cash. So total in bids of cash means the sum of all of the individual players in this game, or the heirs, plus the cash value. So it'll be the sum of these three values plus this number, whatever that number turns out to be. So I will click on this cell and I'll say equal to the sum, open parentheses, of these three values. So I'll click and drag, close parentheses, plus this value, whatever that value turns out to be. So when I hit enter, I get 134,000. And I'll make the same steps for Betty and Carl. So this is going to be equal to the sum, open parentheses, of Betty's bids. So Betty's bids are these, close parentheses, plus the cash in the estate. Okay, it's 138,000. And Carl was the sum, so that's equal to sum of Carl's bids, which is these, close parentheses, hit plus, and we want to make sure we add the cash in the estate in. Okay, great. So now I said in a short while ago, I'm going to make sure that these things appear as currency. So right now it's just 134,000, for example. I want to make that into dollars and cents. So you want to click on the column header B, and I want to go over to D. So I'm making sure these three columns are selected. And I'm saying to the system, any number that shows up in there, I want it to be represented as currency. So it's a really simple thing to do. If you look in your toolbar, you will see the format as currency button. You will click that, and it's done. I will do the same in here. I will select everything, including the cash cell, and I will click the dollar sign. So now it all looks like currency, and this is exactly what we're working with. All right, great. So the next thing we're going to do in our spreadsheet is figure out what's the fair share. The fair share is always the total of bids and cash divided by the number of people in the estate. In this case, it's 3 people. So I'm going to take this value and divide it by 3. So clicking on this cell, I'm going to say this cell is going to be equal to whatever value is here divided by 3. Okay, I'll do it again. For Betty, I'll say this cell is equal to whatever value is stored here divided by 3. And I would say once again that this cell is equal to whatever value is stored in this location divided by 3. So fair share is pretty easy. We sorted that out. Okay, so our next step is multi-parts. So I want to take it one step at a time. So to figure out the item received, it's really easy for a human being to look and see that Betty won, for example, because she had the highest bid. And Betty also won the boat because she has the highest bid. And Alan won the car because he had the highest bid. But for us to do this in a spreadsheet or any sort of program that a computer has to do, we have to be a little bit more specific. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out what's one way of determining what's the largest number in these groups. So Excel has a built-in or Google Sheets has a built-in function that's called max, and we'll have to combine max with a conditional statement, the if statement. So to make this work, we'll do the following. We'll say the item received for Alan, it's going to be determined as follows. We're going to say equal if, so if Alan's bid, all right, so Alan's bid is stored here, right, is equal to the largest number in this group. All right, so that's max, open parentheses again, so you have two open parentheses in here, and max of this group, this range of numbers. So if Alan's bid is equal to the largest number, in other words, right, so if Alan's bid stored in J3 is equal to the largest number, then we want to say Alan received the house, so we will click on house. If his number is not the largest, then we want to make sure that he receives nothing or nothing shows up in that spot. So we have an easy way of doing that by putting the double quotes, two double quotes, and we close the parentheses, and we hit equal. Now this is done, but there is nothing showing here because clearly Alan did not win the house. So we'll repeat the steps for Betty, and we'll notice if the house is going to be showing up in this spot when we're done. So I'll be clicking in the cell that I want the value to show up, and I'm going to say equal if, so if Betty's bid, which is this, I don't know what the number is because remember these numbers are going to change. So if the number that's stored here is equal to the largest number, and how do we determine the largest number? By typing max of this range. If that's true, then we want to say the house has been won, all right, or the item that's in this location has been won. If not, wins nothing. And how do I show nothing? Excuse me. We use the double quotes, and lo and behold, there is the word house showing up for that item. So I do it one more time. Equal if Carl's bid is equal to max of these numbers. Okay, a little typo, let's fix this. If Carl's bid is equal to the max, open parentheses, max of these numbers, then close parentheses, then house was won, else nothing was won. Okay, and of course nothing shows up. So let's do some more cleaning up. These three values, I want them to be centered, so I'll highlight and choose center, so that looks a little bit more appealing to me. And I want all of these values that I'm about to display to be centered and bold. I want them to stand out, and I'll change the color to something else. I'll just use red. So really quickly, I'm going to say for row number 8, this cell is going to be equal if Alan's bid is equal to the max for this group, because we're working on the boat, then this item was won, else nothing was won. We go over to Betty, we do the same thing, we say equal if Betty's bid for the boat is equal to the largest number in this group, so max, the largest number in this group, then she won this item, else nothing was won. And then we go over to D8, we type equal if Carl's bid is equal to the largest number in this group. Slight error. Okay. If Carl's bid is equal to the largest number in this group, sorry, the boat group, then the boat was won, that item was won, else nothing was won. Now you might be asking, is like, why am I typing anything in here when I clearly know that nothing is going to show up here. We have to keep in mind that this thing is going to be constantly changing depending on what information we put in here, right? So there may be another example where it is actually going to be the item was won by the third person. So we are, for now there's nothing here obviously, but that doesn't guarantee, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be data there at some point in the future. Okay, so that's why we're doing it. Alright, so the last row really quickly, and we'll stop this video and you'll continue in part 2. So we'll just say equal if. We're working with Alan and Alan's bid for the car. So equal if this is equal to the largest number of this group, then we would say that object was won, else nothing was won. We do it again, equal if Betty's bid is equal to the largest number in that range, largest number in this range, then this object was won, else nothing was won. It's really simple once you get a hang of it. And we have for the final, if Carl's bid for the car was equal to the largest number in the range, this range of values, then the car was won, or that object was won, and if that's not true, then nothing was won.